Hello, everybody. You're here at a digital giving webinar, How to Innovate and Expand Giving Opportunities with the MidAmerica region of the UUA for use throughout the Unitarian Universalist Association. My name is the Reverend Sharon Dittmar, and I'm a Congregational Life Consultant here in the MidAmerica region. I have with me also helping Nancy Combs-Morgan. Nancy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking part. Again, as Sharon mentioned, I am Nancy Combs-Morgan. I serve as a Congregational Life Consultant in both the Mid-America and Southern regions, and I'm based in Lexington, Kentucky.
And I'm very grateful that Nancy could help me. We have a lot of people on this webinar, so we're actually going to stop 4 times to ask your questions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen to get you up to our digital presentation. And that always just takes a minute to get going here. And Nancy, is it full screen? Is that what you're seeing now?
Yes.
Great. All right. So this is How to Innovate and Expand Giving Opportunities. And I worked on this with a lot of people. By the way, are you also seeing the closed captioning that's showing up on the screen?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's terrific. We enabled that option on MidAmerica account. So if you are using a Zoom account and you own one, you can enable this, which is terrific for folks who are missing information or might have a visual impairment. So this webinar was really created with the help of a number of people, including Congregational Life staff people, Jessica Curran, Connie Goodbread, Pat Infante, Jennifer Kwong, and the Office of Stewardship and Development at the UUA and Stewardship for us. So I just want to reiterate how much this was a group effort because we're trying to get through this together. No one knows everything. We're making up a lot as we go along. We're learning together. And I was really grateful for my thought partners who helped me put together this webinar. Why does this matter? So this is a quote from my colleague, Reverend Dr. Jennifer Kwong. He writes, if you've been to the grocery store recently, you may have noticed a line to get in, empty shelves, and people snatching whatever hand sanitizer, toilet paper, or canned goods they can find. Some have even hoarded them and try to sell them at a higher price. What would be an ethical response from a Unitarian Universalist during times of great uncertainty? How can we spend our money wisely to promote our values? What is the theological grounding that allows us to proclaim that there is indeed enough with some to share? So these are some of the questions around money and budget and stewardship I ask you to hold this evening. And when you get these slides, I hope you hold them a lot longer than that because I think they're going to become very important questions for you in the year to come. Wow. When I was considering this webinar, I thought, you know, most of us do a spring canvas. A few of us do a fall canvas, and some of us even do year-round giving. But the majority of UU congregations are still doing the old springtime canvas. We might get some lead gifts. We start it off. We might have cottage meetings. We call people to donate. It's hard to clean up the campaign, which is kind of code for getting everyone to make sure they pledge. And in some ways, I feel like the old canvas and giving, which also involves people writing checks, saying what they're going to give, and even some of us having donate buttons online on our website, is a bit like the statue we see. It's a bit old. It might have corroded a little, and it's in stone. And what I really want to encourage you to do this evening is think of some new ways to engage giving in your congregation, regardless of where you're located, city, suburb, or rural, regardless of size of your congregation, all right? I want us to think for some new ideas. As it is spring in our world today in North America, what new things could come forth in this time? Here's some reasons for digital giving. And I did a webinar on electronic giving about a year and a half ago. And these were some reasons I found at that time. Some of you might have seen that webinar. It's being shown again, and this will be an even more updated version than that. So here's some things you might not know. Most people deal with a majority of their finance today online. So in 2020, 80% of Americans bank online, which is up from 4% just 11 years ago. That's a lot of us. People physically attend church less often, even before our congregations were closed. If people are coming less consistently, we need to help them give more persistently. This is not my quote. I took it from someone else. I think it's wonderful. Let's give them opportunities to give persistently. When giving is automated, the church leadership knows the dollar amount is guaranteed each month. So we're going to look at some models of digital giving, particularly the text to give option, which can help streamline cash flow so that you don't run into painful gaps in your budget. Giving as a percentage of income is decreasing. Therefore, we must increase giving options. And finally, and very interestingly, older members actually have adapted to online banking. Now, not everyone, of course, but by and large, people in our older demographic of age have adapted to online giving. In addition, younger members rarely have cash or check on hand, but they carry cards and phones and are familiar with using them. We also know, I'll add, that for those of you who are doing online worship or streaming line services, I am hearing a lot of feedback that people are getting extra visitors online more than they ever got when they were in person. These people might be one-time visitors. These people might come back several weeks in a row. You don't know. However, it could be very easy to encourage them to give if you have given them anything of value during your worship services online. And it would be appropriate, right? You would want to give them the opportunity to give. All right, are we ready? I know for some of us, it's like jumping. We're gonna have to break free of our stone husks, but here we go. All right, the first congregation I talked to, all four of these congregations are in our region. The first one was the UU Church of Bloomington, Indiana, which has 533 members. I spoke to Ann DeLuke, who's their connections coordinator. You're gonna see something interesting in these. Often it was whoever who could figure it out is the person who put together the digital online giving. Why is the connections coordinator, who's essentially a membership professional, doing this? Because she could, because she had the ability and skill to do it quickly and efficiently. So she's the one who did it for the congregation, all right? They made a decision to use PayPal on March 12th. Yes, just a few weeks ago. There is no monthly charge. The fee is 2.9% of transaction and 30 cents per transaction. Their church database system, ChurchDB, stopped supporting online giving, which is why they went to PayPal. And one of the things you're gonna see this evening is a lot of people have connected their online giving options with some sort of church database management software that they're using. And some of them have a real awkward interface, so pay attention to that. In Bloomington, they use a link that they publish on their website. They publicize during streaming services, which they do, and in the newsletter. And let me know that members into their 70s are using it to donate. People can make comments when they donate. And members have told them to keep using this even when they meet again in person. They love the speed and efficiency. Since its inception, the online offering during live stream services is the same as it was for in-person services when they met in their building, which I think is really interesting. So here's PayPal's. I just copied this off their website. It's 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. Note they have a discounted rate for eligible charities. You'll see this right here. It's 2.2%. We'll talk about that in a minute, plus 30 cents per transaction. All right. Here's some strengths. People are familiar with it. I don't know about you, but I've certainly used PayPal before. And so a lot of us have gotten used to it over the years. So people feel comfortable using it. And that's a big deal. It's a name that people recognize. There is no monthly fee, which is terrific. It's easy to use. It's easy to get a report. When you use it, you can set up donations so they're targeted if it's for a pledge, your pledge, or a plate campaign or something else, which is really terrific. It's easy to set up and install. These are all wonderful. Weaknesses. Anne let me know that she felt like support from PayPal was slow. And if no one there is very tech oriented, that's a big deal. There's no text to give option that they have found as of yet. I think this is also a big deal. They have had trouble proving they were a nonprofit, which was just incredible to me. They spent a lot of time trying to prove they were a nonprofit and get that 2.2% rate plus 30 cents for a transaction. They could not prove it. I do not know why. They're in the state of Indiana. And because of that, they're getting the regular business count rate. So pretty significant. Here's how it looks, all right? Now, most of these churches have something like this on their page. So I wanted to show you this as a way, if you're like, well, where do I put it on my web page? What does it look like? Okay, if I could wave a magic wand 6 months from now, I would want every UU congregation on their front page to have this button somewhere in red, in yellow, donate. First portal of entry on your web page, donate. Don't hide it under things you do. Don't hide it at the bottom, top of the page. Everyone can see. This is what we need now. So this is on their web page. If you click that button, here's what comes up next. Ways to give. And it has all this information. You could give online, and then you can go to this PayPal link. All right. So if you click the PayPal link, this is what shows up. That's what shows up. You can put in your dollar amount, and you can see, you can target whether it's for the Sunday plate offering, the 2019-2020 payment, pledge payment, a miscellaneous gift, or the coming year's pledge payment, which is really cool. All right. So maybe this has you wondering if you should try a new look. I hope it does. I'd love to see if there's any questions anyone has thus far. So I'm going to pause here. My question for you is, how do I get these annoying blue lines off my screen?
I thought you were pointing things out with the blue lines. Lori
No.
Lance, hi Lori. She has a comment.
Yes.
Her understanding is that with PayPal, to get the nonprofit rate, you have to have an official 501c3 determination from the IRS. So that's something to know. It wasn't a question.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that comment. They struggled mightily, so that's good information. Any other questions that anyone has you want to type in the chat box? And honestly, if anyone can tell me how to get rid of these annoying.
And there's actually requirements in addition to being a 501c3. So that's something to look into.
I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because those are really bugging me, and I'm going to go back to it again and let's see if we can.
Take your time. I'm tracking the questions. Why would someone be more inclined to give to PayPal than a credit card?
Not necessarily. They might not. I don't know.
I do think, Sharon, there is something about the ease of use and that it is so common. You know, PayPal, just people are, as you mentioned, very, very used to it. I think that might be something.
And one thing that's nice from PayPal is you get a receipt back from them. Like, it comes immediately back to your email box. Like, that's what the receipt was for. Ooh, and someone else said something.
I'm These are coming in fast. Okay. And Sue mentions that's very convenient. That's why. It also, you don't have to give your credit card to a bunch of different vendors. That was Lori's comment. And can you please provide their website again so we could have a look? That's Catherine. I think referencing back to the Bloomington, Indiana website when you do go back,
Oh,
your slides.
is that what you were looking for, the Bloomington Congregation one again?
Yes, that is
All right,
correct,
let me
Catherine.
share screen again, give it a whirly. I really don't know why I was like, clearly I was the one coloring on my own text. I don't know why. Here you go. That's their front page. And then when you click on the donate button, this comes up. And then when you click on that link, this comes up.
And Meg Wilson's asking, will we get a copy of this PowerPoint? I do believe so.
Oh, yes, you will. Slides, resources, links, it will all be here for you. All right, I think we should all be trying new looks and new things these days. Adaptation seems to be the way to go. Okay, I'm going to move on. Is there any final questions before I go forward?
Looks good.
Thanks, Nancy. All right. Next, I talked to First Unitarian Church in Cincinnati, Ohio, which has 275 members. So they have an interesting story because they've been trying this for a while. So I got to learn the things they tried that worked and didn't work and find out why. So they used Easy Tithe for a while. A lot of people speak highly of Easy Tithe. I've also heard they have some great marketing materials on Easy Tithe. So if you just want to go to the Easy Tithe website, I've heard people tell me they explain things so well, I've just grabbed their language and used it in our publications in our congregation. But they left it because it did not sync well with their accounting programs. So there becomes a point where you want to track donations, and when they couldn't get it to merge with their database, they were like, that's not going to work. Then they tried a local bank, PNC, which has an online giving option called Cash Flow Insights, but it did not work with congregational invoicing and frequency of giving. So it just was not set up for the needs of a congregation. So they tried their local bank, that didn't work. Then they switched to a congregational database system known as Breeze, which includes with it an online giving option. Breeze costs $50 a month. I know there was an intake of breath amongst some of you. And it has no extra cost for online giving or text. It has the same fees, however, when you use it. So the fees are 2.9% plus 30 cents for a credit and debit card, same as PayPal. And then there are other rates for bank transfers, all right? 15% of the congregation thus far uses Breeze for recurring payments. I'm told it was a mix of people and a mix of age ranges. They advertise in their order of service, on their website, during online worship, and they're still working to communicate it better, all right? Something else I wanted to uplift about Breeze, because it is a church database system, and we're going to look at one other called Realm, another congregation is using. The Breeze database includes membership database, ability for members to access their information and edit it, like their pledge payments, their address change. Imagine when your phone in the main office doesn't have to take those calls anymore, but your members can just go in and be like, I moved, and put it in there. Committees can communicate through it, and their directory is totally online through this option, which is terrific. Members can find one another, right? Just through going to the database. They don't have to call and be like, do you have so-and-so's number?
Hey,
All right.
Sharon,
Yes.
before you continue, Tom is asking, is the Breeze fee an upcharge for online giving, or is it included in the larger Breeze package?
That's just the charge of Breeze, and it also includes then this giving. But you also get, so if you use Breeze as a database system, you get to use their digital online giving for free.
And Joetta asks, with Breeze, are they doing mobile giving and or text to give?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. So here's from the Breeze website. I just went straight there. It shows you their online giving fees, their transaction fees. They talk about transaction fees for ACH. For those of you who are wondering what that is, you'll see that all over the place. That is computer, what is it? It's something automated clearinghouse. It's how banks communicate electronically from one to another. There's just a charge for this, for doing banking electronically. It's just the way business is done nowadays. All right. And what's interesting is, what methods can our donors use? They can use website or text to give. All right. What's cool about their database? So it just really is cool. Look, track giving and generate reports. Track giving, generate giving reports, offer online giving, text giving, and send out giving statements. Oh, make it easy. With just a few clicks, contributions allow you to have a handle on the financial health of your church, as well as the generosity of your attenders. That is a great way to get some really deep data very quickly. All right. Here's some strengths and weaknesses. According to Carrie, the one-time text donation option is terrific because you don't need an account to use it. So you could be a visitor and use it. You can donate to specific funds, just like we saw with the other folks. You can make auction payments online, and it limited the accounting work. So if your church does like an auction and, you know, someone did a dinner party for X and a pie baking class for Y, imagine not having to handwrite everything, but putting it all through here automatically. The time savings would be incredible. You can enter dates to stop and start payments, which a lot of other giving options don't have. But of course, in congregations, we tend to pledge for a year, although who knows what will happen now that we're in the pandemic. People might want to start just giving quarterly or something. We're all going to be adapting. Most members easily set up their accounts to track information on their own pledging and payment. It is easy to generate reports. It has helped stabilize their cash flow, so they always have cash coming in. The support is terrific from the site. They help with workarounds for the church accounting system, and they find solutions to their problems, which is really some terrific customer service, easy installation, and they can send personal year-end statements through Breeze, and members can print their own statements. I remember working in a congregation, people like they had to print the year-out statements and then mail them all out. Imagine being able to do it online. Weaknesses. Some people struggle to set up their accounts, and they continue to support and educate members about the use of Breeze. So there really is a time of onboarding people to how do you set up an account? How does it work? Do you need to do tutorials for people? And you're probably going to have to offer it over and over and be available to answer specific questions. All right.
And Sharon, there are a bunch of questions that came in about Breeze. Do you want me to hold them?
Yeah, hold a little bit, because some of them might show up on a couple slides I have, and then I'm going to pause again. Thanks, Nancy. Oh, wait, I thought I had Breeze slides. What happened to, no, I guess that's it. Questions, I'm ready, Nancy.
Okay, from Joanne. She wants to know if Breeze has password protected member database.
I don't know for sure, but I asked everyone if the security was good, and everyone said yes. Okay. So everyone I interviewed, I asked them that, and they said yes.
I'm thinking they would. And of course, I don't have a clue, but
I don't know for sure. You'd have to check it.
And yeah. Jim Farrell, oh, someone just chimed in. I heard another voice. Okay. Jim Farrell just wanted to share when there was some chat box activity around what ACH meant, which you mentioned. It also lets you do withdrawal from checking accounts.
Yes.
And then also, Greg Frances wanted to know if anyone on this webinar would like to find out more about how Breeze is used for auctions. Who would who would Greg contact? Maybe just Breeze itself? Or
group? So I know where Greg lives. Greg could contact Carrie Spees at First Unitarian Church, and I'm sure she would explain how they did it for their auction. If that's what he was talking about, that would be the person at First Unitarian Church to talk to about it. Greg is also related to a different Cincinnati congregation.
That's right. Also, John clarified, thank you. And this is the power of community. Here's an answer. Breeze database is password protected.
Thank you, John.
And then Renee also wanted to share that member churches are not, repeat, not covered by the UUA's IRS determination letter. And there is a document link in the chat for anyone who wants to look at that clarification. And then Tracy said, yes, they do. So I'm not sure about the status of that. So anyway.
Are there more questions on Breeze? All right. By the way, almost every picture in this PowerPoint comes from a UUA stock file of photos that you can use without permission. Isn't that amazing? Just want you to know it's there for you folks on the UUA website. All right, now we're going to Unity Temple, and we're so lucky Tracy is here with us to answer our questions. Okay, Unity Temple, Unitarian Universalist Congregation, which has 578 members and is located in Oak Park, Illinois. Tracy Zarowski is the finance and office manager, and she took time to speak with me. By the way, there is not one person I asked to interview who refused me, so I want to thank everyone. Anne and Tracy and Carrie, and we'll get to Brian at the end. Very grateful for all of these people for sharing of themselves with us. So they use a database software, Realm, from ACS Technology, which uses Vanco as a giving platform. I have to say in my research, I have found that EasyTithe and Vanco are the two names that come up the most often. All right, and then there's a third one called Kindred. All right, those seem to come up a lot. They just started text giving on Vanco through Realm in March 2020. So they were not previously using this option, although it had been sitting there for them. And I have down that Realm cost $192 a month because it's a database. And when we get Tracy on at the end, I'm going to make sure I have that number correct. Members can set up their own account with the congregation, and through the account, they can set up pledge payments, monthly giving, and random giving, which is terrific. You again have control as a member of your account. Text giving costs 3% per transaction plus 45 cents and is very easy. Here's strengths. They have a text code for giving option that is easy and fast, and I'm going to show you pictures of it in a minute. The text giving comes with an immediate text receipt acknowledging donation. Text option lets the user determine what fund to use for the donation. Again, you can target your giving, which is important for givers. The security has been very good thus far. They have simple reporting that works. The congregation is not responsible for upgrading or maintaining software, and that's a pretty big deal. The other thing you have to consider, since they have a totally integrated package, they can really go to them to answer their problems, and it should be up to the database Realm to figure it out and help them, which can be a real asset. And she says the customer support is, and I use her word, awesome. Weakness, it's expensive, people. For the text option, the congregation creates a keyword that never changes, so you need to be thoughtful. It's not necessarily a downside, but she said, just know it'll be with you for a while. I'll show you what she means. She also felt that publicity from Realm and Vanco was only so-so, so they rewrote it for our members. Remember I said another congregation had kind of encouraged me to look at EasyTithe because they felt like their online publicity was so great, they used some of it in their own stuff. And at times she felt like the report breakdowns had been a little bit limited for what they need in a congregation. All right. So here's Realm. If you go to the Realm website, look, you can see up here, I was canceling my vacation to Key Largo. It's a real moment here, right? So look at all the things they offer on Realm. Background checks, hello, that's really important. Accounting, payroll, profiles, giving, groups, contributions, events, check-in. You can check in people for an event or children for religious education here, I believe, which is really cool. There's all these other things they can do. So they offer a lot. So here's different ways of giving. Accept payments virtually anywhere and anytime. Mobile, enable people to give to your church from the mobile app. Checks, quickly scan checks and enter them in batches, which really matters on the kind of back end. For members, this is the invisible end, and for staff, this is the painfully visible end. So that's a big deal for staff members. Text giving is easy. They can still do cash payments, and people can track pledges. All right. This is how it looks. I was talking to Tracy on the phone and I'm like, what do you do? I've never done this. She's like, there's a number you put in. And she gives me 5-digit number. And I'm like, that can't be. She's like, just put it in. Look, here it is, 73256. Okay. And then I put in this code. That's their code. Remember when she said, be careful because it's with you for a while. So they're Unity Temple Unitarian Universalist Church $. That's their code. You put that in under this number. Look what comes up. You're almost there. Click the link to complete your gift. I was like, this is super easy. This is so easy. So I clicked and then I got Unity Temple Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I could give money to the annual fund. I don't know why it says 2020 and 2020, or the offering. And then there was other information you can't see down. You can also enter all of your stuff here the first time, and then you don't have to enter it again. And then it gets even simpler. You can just put $50 and they know you want it to come out from your credit card, and that they just take care of it. So you could give a gift in like 30 seconds to Unity Temple. This would be so easy to do. Okay, still uncertain. Look at these people. They're having an Ollie's and Sven moment. So I really want to get Tracy in here, who's online with us, and thanks, Tracy, to answer your questions about this one. And I'm not sure how hard it will be to unmute Tracy. Tracy, can you unmute yourself? You might be able to do it if Nancy can't find you. Here, I'm going to stop sharing and let's look for Tracy. Tracy, are you unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted, unless there's more than one Tracy with us.
Are you there, Tracy? Oh, nuts. Maybe she stepped away. Oh, Tracy. She must have had to go do something. Well, were there any questions that I could try to answer for you? Oh, Tracy doesn't have a microphone, but you're here for us, Tracy. Tracy, is Realm really $192 a month? Did I get that number right? She's in the chat box. Yes, she says she's right. Okay, I need to ask you, Tracy, that seems kind of high. How come Unity Temple picked that? There must be something good about this for you folks. And I know you're gonna have to type, so we'll patiently wait. All right, it says track membership information and events. I could see that, like for a congregation that's large enough, you want to know, and group communication, you want to know what's going on, who's attending what, you want to let committees communicate with one another and groups to communicate. Someone I talked to who did this said that their database who does something similar, it's kind of like the message also comes across like somehow indicating it's from the church database. So I know people get a lot of email and they tend not to read it, but the email will somehow show up that it's from the church database. So you'll know it's your congregation trying to reach you. Let's see what else.
Looks like Lori from Countryside is wondering if, is the Realm fee based on congregation size? Do we know?
That's a good question.
And there's a new message. Two new messages.
Yes. Oh, wait. Jim Farrell says it's based on size. Let's see what Tracy says. Jim, you might use it. Sorry, I just don't know. Oh, Meg Wilson says, yes, I work independently with Vanco and it's based on size, but Realm is using Vanco. I'm waiting for Tracy to see if she weighs in on this one. So Meg, while I've got you commenting, yes, you work independently with Vanco. Tracy thought the cost for Realm was independent. Okay, so Meg Wilson, you work independently with Vanco. To your knowledge, then, does Vanco assess a monthly cost dependent on the size of the congregation? No? Okay. I'm learning a lot. Okay, there was another question back here. So someone asked, Tracy, is Rome sort of like an internal church Facebook function, but maybe not like so dysfunctional? No offense to Facebook, but like I assume you can't post like all sorts of things people wouldn't want to see. Someone else typed in that they use Vanco and cost is based on percentage of donations, not set fee. Oh my gosh, look at that. Tracy said, yes, the group can chat over Realm. Ooh, the things we're learning. And then George says, I set up online giving for us last weekend. Congratulations, George. I like that about you. There's a single big basic difference in the various systems I looked at. Some are just donations while others are full church management systems. Yes, that's what I also uncovered in asking these questions too. That same thing. Ooh. And Jim Farrell says that at Danville, they're paying $32 a month for Realm. Isn't that interesting? Thanks, Jim. That is so helpful to know. So it really does depend on the size of your congregation. That's such good information. Thanks, Jim.
This is an impressive group, Sharon.
It's like amazing. Thanks, everyone, for coming and teaching us. And then Jim adds, what you can do in Realm depends on what you purchase. That makes a lot of sense. And perhaps the more you want to track things, the more expensive it is. And there would be a corollary to that. The larger your congregation is, the more you need to track things, because no one will remember who did what or who attended. So it becomes more imperative to use things like this so that they can stay informed. Jim, you went cheap. Well, we understand, Jim. We don't hold that against you. Tracy, is there anything else you want to add before we finish here? And by the way, thank you for typing and staying with us. Oh my gosh, do you use Realm for accounting and payroll? Tracy says it handles it. Oh, that would be a big deal. All you people who have to call in payroll wouldn't have to do that anymore. Oh, they don't use it for that, but you could. It's a big deal. Any other questions before I go on to our last one? All right, I think I need to share screen again. Someone asked, is Realm a database? Tracy, can you put an answer to that? Yes. All right, great. All right, I am going to go back to my presentation. All right. Oops. Somehow I'm not in it. There we go. All right. The final congregation I spoke with. The UU Church of Lexington, Kentucky, which has 280 members. I spoke to the Reverend Brian Chenoweth. Why, may you ask? Because Brian set it up because he was the most techie amongst the people there. So yes, this is another example of sometimes whoever's the techie just ends up doing it. So they use a platform I'd never heard of called Give Lively, and I found it really interesting. It has upsides and downsides. The incredible upside is that there is no cost for nonprofits to use Give Lively. Wow. So text giving is an option for Give Lively, and it's really pushed on Give Lively as a real viable option. And I need to let you know my bias, which is that text giving is the way of the present and the future. So I would really encourage everyone on this call to see if they can find a way to do text giving. I just think it's the way we are at right now for the majority of Americans. Not necessarily the majority of people in your congregation, and I understand there's demographic differences, but I think over time this will become the way things are more and more. So the fees are low, 1.9 to 2.9% for nonprofits. That's really low. They can establish a monthly giving link. There's links to Apple Pay, your bank account or credit card. So you can set this up however you want. They've really integrated it with other platforms. Brian says it's used mostly by people 60 and under in their congregation. And he let me know that they advertise Give Lively and their congregational codes for it on Facebook, in their order of service, on Twitter, Instagram, and on slides during live worship. They also use memes, which are like images that you can like repeat. And we're gonna talk about this a little bit, but apparently there's different codes for different, like if you wanna give to the art fund, there's a code, a minister's discretionary fund, but they're constantly putting the codes up all the time to share that with people so that they'll remember to do it. Brian let me know the support has been very helpful, that Give Lively offers information on how to create, message, and advertise on social media and syncs with various platforms. Give Lively actually has some really interesting information. Also, their congregation uses PayPal as well. And I think we'll see why in just a minute. All right, here's some strengths. It's free to nonprofits. Yay! It's easy to use and fast. People can give whatever they want and whenever. There are separate codes to give to different congregational accounts, the minister's discretionary fund, arts fund, coming of age trip, etc. You just get a new code for each of them. And it has a real emphasis, the Give Lively, to text donation. There's more ways to give with Give Lively, but they have a heavy emphasis on it. Here's the weaknesses, and notice this is a bit of a long list, right? The nonprofit verification process was hard and slow. All right, this was not just a slam dunk, to use a basketball metaphor. It requires a smartphone and internet, right? The setup was annoying, according to Brian. They have not yet found out how to integrate giving with their congregation's database. So that's kind of aggravating on their end, that they're not able to easily track or do pledges on it, right? You see, this is a big downside. Not that they couldn't figure it out, and not that it's not possible to do, but they haven't figured it out yet. Some people have found the technology confusing. We've seen that with every platform except for PayPal. And they have used it for 6 months, and members have been very slow to adopt this technology. Now that could shift now that we've gone to not meeting at least through May 1st and maybe longer, and live stream and online worship. But I do have to say it could be real and a real struggle. You need to be mindful about your congregation demographic and usage habits that you think might be in your congregation, that it could be a slow curve to bring people up to speed to use these platforms, to know they're there, to feel comfortable using them. And I think you would have to budget some time and energy and resource and patience to bringing people up to speed and answering their questions around it. So I'm sure Lexington is not the only congregation that has been slow to adopt this technology. I wanted to show you what it looked like. So here's Give Lively. It is incredible, a free platform. Look at all the things they do. Event, fundraising, and solution. By the way, I do recommend everyone here just go to the Give Lively website and go through it for tidbits that are useful to you, because I found little nuggets here that would be useful to any congregation. They have fundraising pages, which are fascinating. It's just really interesting they have really meaty resources in there. They have this whole section on text to donate, live display, peer-to-peer fundraising. Their information on that was fascinating. Event ticketing, embeddable widgets, Giving Tuesday. They also do an incredible job helping you work on the back end of how to make your giving campaign have a great message, image. They like coach you on it, right? Because there is a marketing and communication element in all of this. And this group really coaches you on it. So about that free platform. Why nonprofits love it. Easy mobile giving. Give supporters the ability to donate any amount from their mobile phone. That's pretty cool. Unlimited text campaigns. Create as many unique text codes as you need for all your campaigns, events, and more. It's absolutely free. The people who created this are very committed. As part of our Forever Free pledge, nonprofit members get unlimited free access to text to donate. I was like, so what's the pledge? Here it is. We pledge that any service we provide for free, forever free services to our nonprofit members will always be free for them to use without any charge from us forever, no catch. We will never charge any annual fees, setup fees, hidden fees, or platform fees. We will never sell, rent, or lease your data to third parties. It goes all through this. That's really interesting. So that's a real upside. There's obviously downsides in that, you know, there's a challenge with integrating with the congregational records, but there's some benefits here. It's kind of an interesting group, and I really do encourage you to look at their resources. They were quite good. Whether you're going to use them or not, might as well mine the information they're offering free. All right.
Sharon?
Yes.
Hooray in the chat. That's a really creative name. Hello, Hooray has asked, has anyone tried text to with a numeric to give? Text to give.
I didn't talk to anyone. Does this person want to tell us about text to give? We'd be delighted to hear more.
Would you like to share, Hooray?
No, it's just that I'm in the process of trying to find a good texting software to give, and I keep hearing about text to give, but I haven't found anybody yet who uses it. So I was just wondering if anybody out there uses text to give.
Well, let's see, because this is clearly a group on top of things. Is there anyone on this webinar who uses text to give and can tell us a little bit about it and what you think? It's a great question.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
There's a question way back about Breeze, but maybe we can wait to the end if you would like.
All right, and I see a number of people have tried to wrangle out that 501c3. I got to be honest, after I talked to Ann in Bloomington, Indiana, I was surprised that Brian in Lexington, Kentucky got it approved. Because I know someone says churches fall under another IRS designation, which is not eligible for Give Lively's services. For some reason, it worked with Brian. And the congregation in Lexington, I don't really know. Is Text to Give a vendor? I don't know.
And the Breeze question a while back from Renee, can you just do an a la carte option just to test the donation on Breeze? Does anyone know?
I'm not sure what that means.
It looked like maybe Renee was trying to see if you could just test it. Let me unmute Renee and see if there was something else there.
Can you ask the question again?
Certainly, but let me also unmute Renee. Renee, are you with us?
I am. Yes, I'm here, and it wasn't test, it was text. I'm specifically interested in adding a text to donate option, and it's like almost all of the things that I saw, besides Give Lively, which we're not currently eligible for, cost around $450 or $500, which we're a really small congregation and we couldn't afford. So I was just wondering if Breeze would allow you to choose a la carte options like just text to donate.
I don't know, and I'm wondering if someone here who uses Breeze does know. What I can also tell you, though, which is of interest, is if you go to a lot of these websites, there's free demos and like an immediate thing pops up. What's your question? So you can negotiate or talk to them and they'll tell you. You can go right to their website. Tom is saying, my understanding is that most text to give vendors only charge percentages. I encourage people, if you haven't found a solution you like, keep looking. I cannot believe how many platforms there are out there that do this. Let me see if I can look up and share screen something that just shocked me. It was, here we go, ministry brands. Let's see if I can pull it up. I was on a church website called Ministry Brands, and I was looking at their brands. Okay, wait. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. I was like, I'm getting an education. Let's see, it's right here. Share. Okay, so you should be looking here. All of these were from, you can see right here, it's ministrybrands.com. Look at these. Ministry One, Fellowship One, Easy Tithe, Protect My Ministry. Don't know what it is. Like, I don't even know which of these are database or giving. Like Parasoft, what's that? Alexio, Ministry, LANQ, Clover Sites, Church Streaming. Okay, that's streaming. I get that. But look, Giving, NCS Services, Kindred. This one is a giving one. Look at all of these. I Simply Give. I'm like, there's so many. Giving Kiosk. I'm like, there's so many. egiving.com. The other thing I want to say, look, eGive. I could not believe they have this many partners under Ministry Brands. I was like, wow. One thing I do want to tell you though, if you look at a place like this, you might want to read a little bit about them. I don't know how much this, well, let me encourage you to be a little bit mindful. First of all, you want to make sure they're reputable. You want to read some reviews. You know, you want to find out if they have a public presence, right? Second, you might want to, like, whoever sponsors them, is there anything about their mission you find distasteful? Might be something you want to look at, right? Because, for example, some could be from some more fundamentalist religious sites, and you might want to think about who you are affiliating with in your work. And so I'm just going to encourage you to hold those questions as you do the research. I would discourage you from discriminating against using a site because it is Christian-based or is Christian language, because you can adapt almost anything. That would seem to me to not live our values, actually. But just to, I think it can also pay to be mindful about, are they living close enough to our values as well?
Hey, Sharon?
Yes.
Does Sharon Swanson wants to know, does anyone use a cash app? I don't know what that means. And if folks have, you can put it in the chat.
And I'm seeing there that Vanco has a lot of different pricing plans.
Oh, it says Greg Franseth has added Cash App is actually an app in and of itself, and he uses it to collect rent.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
And also, Greg looked up Text to Give. It is a provider specifically for churches and other nonprofits, and it's about $400 a year.
Okay. Nancy, is my screen still sharing right now or no?
No, we have every gallery view.
Okay, great. Yeah, and also this webinar is just targeting online giving. We could probably do a whole separate one on when you're in person again, you can use something called Square to swipe cards. There are a lot of other options once you all meet again. Something I do want to encourage you to consider is which one of these are going to go the distance for you? Months from now, we will be gathering again online, but like consider the feedback of your members. Like I think of what the Bloomington congregation said. They when they started to use PayPal, they loved it and they really want to use it going forward. So which one of these are going to be good investments for you? And Tracy Zarowski, if you're still on Zarowski, I would love to know how you did, because it was going to be like your first week of using Vanco and online giving. And I'm just wondering if you could put in the chat box how that went with your congregation. So when I interviewed Tracy, it was so new, they hadn't done it yet. So I'm wondering now that they've done it a week or so, what actually happened. I also just have a few more slides to show you. Oh, they still haven't rolled it out yet. Nuts. Okay, Tracy, good luck when you do. Let me just share screen for a few final things. Here we go. Why this matters. I picked 2 slides, and they show to me the internal and the external worlds of our congregation. I think in a time of financial uncertainty, which we were most certainly in, it can be easy to just focus on your insides. You know, how are we today? Are the people we've known still here? Okay. And that is really important. And I know a lot of people feel uncomfortable about asking to give now and asking anyone to give, but we are being impacted differently, right? In any congregation, there is someone who oddly, and not because they planned it, we hope, is making money because of this pandemic. There is someone who's lost their job because of this pandemic, and they go to the same congregation. So we can't talk to people the same way or even assume we know who's in what position, right? Because some people who never say anything are really struggling, because that's the other thing too. And so I think that's why it's important to still talk about giving. And, you know, when I was a minister, I would say things like, give until it feels good. I mean, and the implicit message in that is, I don't know what feels good to you. I know giving is good. I know giving lives our value. I know that I want to feel connected to people, and in a time of what is being called social distancing, I can feel disconnected, and giving makes me feel connected. So that it's still important to give to our congregation. And you know, our congregations are about to have large questions about how to sustain their staff and for how long they can do it. And that's also a justice issue. And our congregations may not be able to do this indefinitely, but it does matter to practice our values at home. And can we afford to pay our staff? And we can't if people stop giving, if everyone stopped giving. And some people are going to have to stop giving because they will have no income. And we understand that. And that's the way it's always been. So in the tough years, there was someone who supported me. And when I had more, I supported someone else. I always think about this, you know. So before we descend into anxiety brain mode, remember, there are good things in our congregation and relationships we need to sustain and connections that we want to endure. Here's another reason to work on giving. There's also the outer world of all our partners, all the people not yet in our congregation, and all the people who need us. When I hear from numerous congregations that more people are coming to their online worship than came to their in-person worship, I'm hearing there's a need. And maybe those people can't give you $100 that day, but if those people just gave you $5, yes, over time it could make a difference for you on some things. So if you don't ask, you won't get the dollar. So you do need to find a way to ask so that you can do what lives your mission in the world. You're not asking people for money so that you can go buy sweatshirts. You're asking people for money so that the mission and ministry of the congregation can live. All right. And think about your community partners. You're raising money not just for yourself, but for your community partners. Most of our congregations partner with organizations that work on voting rights or homelessness or mass incarceration or domestic violence shelters. If people stop giving, then our congregations aren't going to be able to support our partners. So we're all in this together. And this is why I think it matters a lot and why we still need to talk about giving. And we just need to normalize, if you can't give, we love you. Thank you for being here, right? Keep coming. But for some of you that can't still give, consider giving when you can, right? So for example, my gym isn't open right now. And I actually go to it's a Jewish community center. That's my gym. And they told us they would reimburse our monthly fees because they can't open. But just so that we knew as customer clients, they are continuing to pay the staff. And I was like, well, then I haven't lost my job yet, and neither has my husband. We are paying our pledge then to my gym because they're paying their staff. And that's what I care about. I care about those people, right? So it also helps us think through how we can give and why this matters. I want to show you, oops, get in there. Here's some more resources I want you to know about. And again, these slides are going to be printed. First of all, stewardship for us. Many of our congregations have partnered with us. With them, I saw Rachel Maxwell came on our webinar. Hi, Rachel. She's written a lot of great blogs. She just published this one, Electronic Giving, which has resources. I also encourage you to go to the Stewardship for Us blog. So they are having like weekly meetings on a whole bunch of things, like what to do with your Canvas campaign, how to communicate things, and then they blog about it afterwards. So if your congregation has questions about this, or you're feeling undecided, or you're looking for new ideas, I hope you participate in some of the programs from Stewardship for Us, and all of these are free right now. I know sometimes they charge, but these as of now are free. Excuse me. And then our very own UUA Stewardship and Development Office and Office of Church Staff Finance, okay? They have done some terrific work as well. So there is an essay here, which was written by Stewardship and Development Office and published. There's also some really great information that's just gone up as being a congregational employer in a pandemic and federal policies in a pandemic. Some of these comes out of the Office of Church Staff Finance. The other place you can go is Leader Lab, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I want to go to the last slide. This will come out. Here's some articles to help you think about digital giving, why you should get more people to give online and how to do it, the pros and cons of electronic giving from the Lutheran Church. Yes, our Lutheran friends have things to teach us. 4 ways to involve younger people in stewardship from the Lewis Center, and 7 top online giving companies. Are they the best? I have no idea. There are at least 7 of them, I can tell you that. But again, it's interesting. Like I told you, there's so many out there, I don't even know. It's just interesting to look at another site and see why people like them. So I want to show you one more resource this evening. And I need to get out of this enormous screen on my computer. Let's see if I can find it. It's the COVID-19 resources on the UUA website. And I want to make sure you know they're there. So let me screen share again. Did I, oh, let me screen. I didn't quite screen share again. There we go. Okay, so I typed in uua.org. I went to the search. I typed in COVID-19 right here. COVID-19 in your congregation, resources specific to addressing COVID-19 in UU congregations. Okay, this used to be 1 page, it's now like 7. So it's a bit of a bear to get through. Oh, this isn't even the long one. Let me go back. There's a better one. Oh, I love this one. It has everything tagged for COVID-19, whether it's pastoral messages for people, writings, researching copyright. I just want you to know there's financial information here, worship information, religious education, pastoral care, how to pay. Look, there's 7 pages of it now. And a lot of it comes from this great resource called Leader Lab, which I also want you to see, because I want you to go to it in case you have questions. Look at this. Leadership development and deepening. They have resources for the coronavirus, leadership training, congregational health and vitality, congregations as employer. We should all be looking at that anyway. They have this whole library of articles and videos. So I really encourage you to try them as like a one-stop shop for some of your questions. And if you're wondering about small groups, just go to Leader Lab, put in something and see what comes up. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing now. And I just wanted to see, did anyone have any other questions? Thank you, Rachel. Rachel put the link in the box, www.uua.org/safe/pandemic/COVID-19. And then the leadership. Thank you, Rachel.
Sarah had more of a observation, or as asked, if she's understanding this correctly, that many of these options are more than just activating an online giving plugin. Many of these options look as if they're restructuring congregations' customer relation management, possibly shifting your customer relationship management software to a whole new program.
I think that's a really interesting point. And you know, do you remember when I started this webinar, there was like the ossified statue? You know, that's us because like we didn't have these options 50 years ago, and that was great, but you all had to have it all in your head or you had to write notes. But now we have software that can track it And I think it just pays to be mindful about what can help you do your ministry for your members and your community. Remembering your ministry happens in a community and you're not separated from it. And you're also needing to provide a ministry for the people in your congregation now and the people who have not yet come but need you. Always remember that. They're just not there yet.
And George Carville wants to lift up Give WP. It is specifically targeted at WordPress sites like the ones using the UUA template, and has offered to do a little bit of sharing about it if we would like him to.
Who was that? Where was that?
That, and I can unmute you. That is George. So I'm going to unmute you, George, if you want to do a little sharing about that. As soon as I get to you there.
And we have about 4 minutes before this webinar ends, but George, what can you tell us briefly? I'd love to hear from you.
You are unmuted, George.
Thank you. I looked at several last weekend. Our primary problem was trying to get online giving going as quickly as we could. And I found that the Give plugin worked very well with our UUA template. The forms are very well integrated. The reporting looks good. And as was said earlier, you've had maybe 2 things going here. Do you want to redo your entire system, or do you just want to get online giving going? Advantages to both. We wanted to get the online giving up and running as quickly as we could. And
So
that's
what did you
we
use,
did.
George? Which one did you use then?
It's a plugin called Give WP. Works
And
with
what did you like about
WordPress.
it?
I like the user interface for the setup. It's very easy to use, a lot of flexibility. And I found their support was just outstanding. I used to be in that business, and to run into a company that was offering the kind of support to me while I'm working on this over the weekend really floated my boat.
Thanks so much, George. And George put how it's Give and then capital WP in the chat box. So if folks want to look that up, I really appreciate your testimonial, George. One of the purposes of these webinars is it is quite clear I do not have all the information. I rely on you for my extra information, and I'm really grateful for that input, as several others of you have also just been terrific in this.
And Catherine is
yes.
wondering if most of these software tools are cloud computing based. And Jim said Realm is cloud based, and then Rachel said as is Breeze.
Okay. Great. And George has added one more. It is ascvt.org. And I wonder if that's the one, ACS Technologies. Is that what that one is, George? I'm just going to click on it and look. Oh, that's your church. Hey, good for you. Well, folks, we are right at time. Any last minute questions, ahas, wonderings before I leave you to the rest of your evening? So grateful to be with you. All right. Well, then I will say, and I love the comments you're putting as we close. I won't close till 9 if you want to put more comments in there, or if you have a site or a platform you want to advocate for, please put it in there. Thank you to everyone who joined us. This webinar is brought to you by your APF giving donations to the annual program fund. So thank you so much for your generosity. That's why I can be here with you and do this research for all of us. So thanks, everyone. And yes, someone says from Springfield, Missouri, stay safe and be well. Oh, that is my wish for every dear person here and those you love and the many people in this world we don't know. Stay safe and be well. So thanks, everyone. And I hope to see you soon. And thanks so much, Nancy. You were great. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Yes, stewardship for us. I see the last question. Stewardship for Us is a UUA consulting firm around financial matters. And I would encourage you to go to their website, www.stewardshipforus. They put out a lot of good products. We are like church neighbors in St. Louis, Missouri. Bye, y'all. Bye, Bruce. Oh, be well in Duluth. Bye-bye. Bye, Nancy. Thank you.
Bye.